Hey, welcome back to the Above Board podcast. My name's John Kennedy. I'm your host, and I'm actually just going to jump right into it. I hear this phrase all of the time, and it goes something like this. John, I'm just not good with money. And honestly, I think a lot of people say that now almost casually, like this self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's very self-deprecating, right? Like it's become this personality trait that they've accepted. You know, it's like someone saying, I'm bad at directions or I'm just not organized. They'll say, John, I'm not good with money. I don't know how to budget. I don't know where to save, and I can't seem to get ahead. But the problem is that's just not good enough anymore. Like being bad with money, when we have the world at our fingertips, every training video on YouTube that could exist, every budgeting app that's out there, all these free podcasts that teach you about money, and we're going to tell ourselves that we're bad with money. I mean, and here's the real rub. 50 years ago, if you were bad with money, but you had a good job, you were probably fine. You had a pension, you had Social Security. As long as you maybe paid your home off before you retired, you probably lived a really good life in retirement. But fast forward to today, Social Security covers, on average, about 1/3 of a retiree's living expenses in retirement. And we all know we don't really have pensions anymore, so where's the other 2/3 coming from? And let's talk about housing for a moment. 50 years ago, the median home price was maybe 2 or 3 times the average salary at that time. Now it's upwards of 8 times the average salary. So being average with your money or leaning on excuses like, I'm just not good with money, it's becoming really expensive, and it's creating irrevocable damage to your ability to retire someday. And it's actually becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, because your retirement largely is dependent on you now. And I think that's the scary part, is that most people don't realize how small financial decisions kind of stack up over long periods of time. We talked about this on the last episode, that if I used a time value money calculation, I said if you saved $7,000 per year at an assumed 7% rate of return per year, it would take about 10.2 years to reach your first $100,000. Well, the household savings rate in the United States today, as I record this today, sits at 3.6% per year. And if you earned $83,000 per year, which is also the average median household salary in the nation, that means you're saving $2,988 per year. We got to find a way to do better. We have to. And I'm not trying to be preachy on this podcast, and sometimes I might come off that way. I am not saying this from a place of judgment. I genuinely understand how hard life is, and it's gotten for many families financially, between inflation, housing costs, childcare, insurance. I mean, it you name it. Like it's really stacked up on everybody. And so be sure to understand, I am not saying that it's just easy to save more money. But I also think we have kind of normalized being financially passive or financially apathetic to the situation. Actually, financially apathetic is what I want to use. That's the word I want to use, because we've normalized not budgeting. We've normalized putting, financing everything instead of spending what we earn. And we've sort of normalized this like lifestyle creep, and we avoid the financial conversation. And that's kind of what I want to, have with you today, is the financial conversation, like the awareness. Like it's just not good enough to say I'm not good about, my money, when there's so many things out there that can help teach us and help us better understand how to be better with money. And it doesn't happen overnight, but I think the mindset of what we've normalized of not being good with money quietly becomes expensive and financially devastating to folks. Because the problem with money is these consequences are delayed. Like if you overspend this month, your life's probably not going to implode. If you avoid investing for a few years, no one's going to send you a letter, like a warning letter in the mail saying like, hey, we got to catch up. And if you keep carrying credit card debt, like it just kind of slowly becomes part of your life. And because that pain is not immediate, most people drift financially for years before they realize how much momentum that they lost. And that's really what it comes down to: financial awareness and momentum. People wildly underestimate the power of compounding interest because compounding is so boring at first. Like, let me give you an example. Another time value money calculation. If a 25-year-old today invests $500 per month at, earning about 7% annually per year, by 65, they'd have $1.2 million. Here's the crazy part. If that person waited until 35 years or 35 years of age, so waited 10 years to start doing this, same contribution amount, same rate of return, they'd end up with half of the amount. That 10-year delay is costing them roughly $600,000. Like, think about that for a second. Not because they made some catastrophic financial mistake or they were reckless. They just waited. And that's, I think, the hidden cost that nobody sees. And after doing this professionally for almost 2 decades, I can tell you something with complete confidence. The people who build wealth usually are not the ones trying to hit financial grand slams. They're people who are quietly hitting singles over and over again. They're doing automatic investing. They're increasing their 401k percentage by their contribution in their 401k by 1% per year. They're, evaluating spending decisions to help them avoid going into credit card debt. And they stay patient, which honestly, like, I think patience might be the most underrated financial skill in the world. But they also take the time to learn and understand how to build successful habits and how to make good money decisions. Follow some good money podcasts. If you're listening to this one, you already have one, hopefully, in your fleet of podcasts that you listen to. Go take a course like, www.yourmoneystory.app. It's a free course that we created. Go talk to your parents. Go talk to a good friend that you look up to about what they do and what they've learned about money, and learn from them. Have the conversation. And I think what you'll find is that sustainable wealth is painfully unexciting and massively boring. What you'll hear from folks is that have actually created wealth is that 99% of the time, they did not have a crypto investment hit pay dirt. They didn't have a huge stock pick that gave them financial independence. They had themselves, and they had to learn themselves, and they built their knowledge base. They built the habit of consistency and discipline and doing the boring, repetitious things. And the crazy thing is, eventually the momentum really starts to work for you instead of against you. And I've seen clients hit this point with their investment gains where, like, in strong market years, I talked about this on the last podcast, like in strong market years, their portfolio earns more, is sometimes larger than their annual salary. That is wild when you think about it. But nobody sees this. No one sees the 15 to 20 years before it happened. Everyone wants the harvest, and so few want to plant the seeds. And I think that's why average financial behavior becomes dangerous. Not because you're doomed overnight, but because repeatedly doing the bare minimum or doing the average, saving the 3.6% per year for long enough periods of time, it compounds into very real consequences. So my mission today is not to discourage you. It's not to preach at you. It really was the opposite. I actually want to encourage you. My hope was that it would be a big enough call to action for you to go do something instead of saying to yourself, I'm just not good with money. I'm bad with money. The hidden cost of not being financially educated and not doing something with your money is significant. So my hope for you is that you take this as a personal challenge and go start something today. Download the budgeting app, get financially organized, go cut some streaming services that you're paying, monthly for, check your 401k balance, listen to a podcast. I really don't care what it is, but make it something, and maybe leave a note. Actually, I'd love this. If you would leave a note in the comments of this podcast, what you're doing, I'd love to shout that out on a future episode of our podcast so that we can, encourage listeners to be doing this thing and really focus on financial literacy and then doing something. So as always, thank you for joining this podcast, the Above Board podcast that we do, and listening with me today. We love doing these episodes. We love having these conversations, but that's it. That's your call to action. Just go make one small micro step in a positive direction for your financial future. And that's a wrap. Go get financially fit. We'll see you next week. See ya. Bye.